everybody. Welcome, MCFB Live. Look at this. Episode 156. We've been hanging out. We've been out in cyberspace, online in the field, searching for the next, expression of awesomeness. In search of awesome. I was in Summit Salon Academy a couple of months ago, and I met this gentleman, Jace Roman. I think he's crushing it ahead of his time. He's a student enrolled at Summit Salon Academy as we speak, and he is just setting the world on fire. And so before I bring him on, I want to tell you about him because what he's got going is absolutely amazing. First of all, he's a level 4, like around, like 1,100, 1,200 hours. He is going to assault level 5. I think I can count on 2 to 3 fingers the number of students that made that level in the 15 plus years that Summit Salon Academy's been in play. I've got him. I bet him that he's going to hit it. I just know he's going to crush it. Greg, I'm sure you would agree with me as well. He's only 19 years old, you guys. And when you see what he's doing, look at this average ticket, $53 for a student. And when you compare that to woman's haircut price at $18, his sticker is like 3 times, his average ticket is 3 times higher than his haircut. So if he holds his fingernails up, he's a Bali Lama. He's a color guru, so he's really crushing it. Referrals, doing like 15 referrals a month as a student, you guys. He's not out yet. He's just warming up. 15, I'm like, do the math on that. What is that, like 180 referrals a year? And he's pacing. So now you know why I wanted to bring him on the show. He's rebooking 58%. Now, are you ready for this? You got to hear this. His RTS is 85%. That's right. You heard it right. Big, not 8.5. No. 85%. So he's really into making his guests, giving them a great experience, teaching them what he's doing, demonstrating what he's using, and his guests are taking product home to support that. So just, you look, Google, a prodigy hairdresser, and they're going to probably show, Jace is going to probably come to mind. So he's just, he's on fire. And he's going to tell his story, so I don't want to take too much away from his story. His timeline, though, is just extraordinary. Graduates from high school in 18, Huntington High School. He begins Summit Salon Academy at that point. He's going to graduate in 2000 in 2 or 3 months. Like I said, he's level 4 and he's goaling 5. You got to hang out with him. On Instagram. It's Jace_Tremaine9. And I'll be taking you to his page. When you see his work, it's extraordinary. He's just a color Jedi. Uses an iPhone 7 Plus, 990 followers. The majority of his guests follow his work as well. The overwhelming majority of his referrals come from Instagram and Facebook. So he's setting the world on fire. Now, we have him in our green room. If to say a little, cross your fingers that the Wi-Fi gods are working. He's going to come out. He's going to tell us a little bit about his story, and then he's going to share some of his best practices with us. So let's see if he's in the house. There he is. Give it up for him, will you guys?
Thank you for having me.
Oh, great. I know you had a full day of school. You rushed home. Did you hear me bragging on you?
I did.
Well, you have a whole bunch of your fan club watching tonight, kind of sending you love and telling you that they're proud of you. So this is a big deal.
Yes, I'm excited.
Well, Jace, we always like to hear the story because the story gives us inspiration. So, and I know your story is off the charts. So, in a nutshell, who are you and what were you doing and about before you made the decision to go to Summit Salon Academy?
So, since even before I even went into Summit Salon Academy, I always knew that I always wanted to do hair. It was just something that was instilled in me since birth. It was just in my blood. I always say that I didn't choose the career chose me.
And it sounds like it from a very young age, your soul was inspired to kind of pursue this as a calling.
Yes, definitely.
Like, how old were you when you just started having those intuitive hunches that this is what I want to do? And like, I think some of this stuff runs in your family.
Oh God, I remember brushing hair when I was like, since I could remember too, and then I think it was around like 5 or 6 years old when my mom took me off the leash and let me hold a curling iron for the first time.
Yeah, and so you were telling me when we were chatting that you've got some famous relatives that are in the industry too. So it's like you were like born and raised in hair.
Yes.
And so as you're evolving, you get you get enrolled in school, but somewhere along the line, like a lot of people like you, something happens. There's some nitroglycerin on the bonfire, and you see the potential, and as a result of that, that's what you're on fire with today. But people want to know, like, what made the difference? What was it that clicked for you?
I think what really made the difference was the change of time because we have all these phenomenal artists that are popping out of everywhere in the industry, especially when Instagram came around and social media became such a vital part of this industry. And that's really what keeps me going every single day. That's what keeps me motivated. That's what keeps me going is seeing all the amazing new trends, all the new work. It's phenomenal.
So, like you're in the game now 1,200 hours. I mean, technically, you've been in the game all of your life, but you formally kind of on ramped the beauty industry through school. You got 1,200 in. I think you got like 300 left. And what we're always curious about is how has this changed you? Who are you today, and what's it like to be you compared to 1,200 or so hours ago, and what drives you today?
What really drives me today is always just staying motivated and always wanting to see the future. You know, I think as a hairdresser and as a hair artist, I think you really, really need to see the future and what it holds, especially with this industry because it's constantly changing. If you can look forward to the future as a hairdresser, you will do phenomenal. And that's really what it does for me.
Yeah, I think you and I actually met for the first time. I'm trying to remember. It was either on the front end of this year or the back end of last year. I saw you working. I was there for a summit board meeting. We were chatting on the floor. I was kind of watching you work and how you work with guests. I was watching you do some photo shoot work. And the work and as I've been watching you ever since, it's just extraordinary to kind of see you, your work, your craft, your social media. The word that comes to my mind is evolve. You're just evolving.
Always constantly evolving, evolution.
So I'm curious. I mean, I know you're just getting started, but you got a couple hundred hours left. You're going to do an assault on level 5. More will be revealed there. And then you're off to begin your career. What's next for you? What's your vision? Where do you see you going after Summit Salon Academy?
Well, for me, I've always been with L'Oreal. I've always gravitated towards the entire entity because L'Oreal is basically more than 50% of the entire beauty industry. They've dominated so much of it and they're constantly evolving and I love that about them. So what I see myself doing 5 years from now, let's just say, is I really think that I can definitely see myself becoming a educator for one of their brands, Redken, and that's something that I'm truly destined and passionate about.
Yeah. You were telling me about that. That Redken is like this gigantic blip on your radar. Being a Redken educator, I think you're well on your way to being the next Sam Villa, Chris Barron. So, and by the way, Rich Keeley, one of you're kind of his prodigy. You were telling me in the interview that he was one of the people that kind of lit your fire. Uh, Take a minute and just talk about who Rich is and your relationship with you, and how he kind of took you to the next level.
So Rich Keeley actually was the barber that cut my hair for the longest time. And during that time that I was with him, I was traveling all up and down Florida and this area to find the hair school that I really wanted to go to. And I was in a stump and I said to him at one point, man, I was like, I have no idea where I'm going to go. And he said, you have got to check out Summit Salon Academy. And I said, okay, I trust you. And he kept saying, you are not going to regret this at all. And boy, was that an understatement. He was so right. And the second I stepped in that place, I remember it was everything that I had wanted. In the second I walked in, it had me at hello.
Yeah, yeah. And that, I think, as I gotten to know you and gotten to know your story, he was the first linchpin, the first tipping
Yes.
point that kind of like opened you up, got you there. And then when you go there, I'm getting goosebumps now as I'm talking to you about this. You see a potential in yourself in the school, and the rest is history. I mean, your trajectory has been almost straight up.
Yes.
Well, I think we got about 6, 7 minutes left, and I'd love to get you talking about your craft. That you're just an extraordinary hairdresser already, and you're doing some amazing things on how you use Instagram strategically to brand yourself, give your guests an experience. Posting content on your page. I see a lot of your content, by the way, on Summit Salon Academy's school page, and I know that a lot of your content actually gets reposted in on your guest page. So, talk to us about that, your Instagram. And while you're talking, I'm actually going to take the world to your page so that they can see what you're doing.
So for social media, for me, it was more of being able to, number one, collaborate with other hair artists. I wanted to specialize in various but specific types of work. Like I love doing color, I love doing extensions, I love elaborate styling, I love the more exotic tones in the hair. And for social media, that has really been able to give me the clientele that wants that because they see that. And I think one thing about social media, if you use it properly, you will be able to get the clientele that you want. And so far, I have gotten everything out of it that I love. And like one of my more recent posts, it was the blue hair. I hadn't had a client that wanted, that's it.
Is that it? Right here?
It is. So that was a very special moment for me, that color, because I love to do those colors. I haven't had many guests lately that want them. And I realized looking at my Instagram, I don't post much of that work. So I was on my downtime, I was like, what can I do? And I pulled my aunt aside and I was like, I really need you to let me do something funky with your hair. I'm like, I want to do like a peacock color. And I posted that. And now, ever since I posted that picture, I was like, everyone's like wanting those colors. And I think that the true statement to being an artist on social media is always posting your work, even on your downtime. If there's a specific client that you want, practice what you preach, do what you want, post it, and you will get those clients.
Yeah. Well, here as I'm listening to you, you're giving the world a tutorial, but you're giving me a tutorial. And when I heard you say a couple things, I want to make sure that the viewer get it. First of all, your skill set as a hairdresser already in school. I mean, you mentioned extensions, you mentioned, edgy color work, you mentioned, so you're like really, really into your craft. I mean, you're always pushing the envelope in, evolving your craft. And now you've brought another medium into the game. You are as much of a photographer, a videographer, as you are a hairdresser. And it's almost like you put those skill sets together and you're crushing time. It's just amazing.
Yeah.
So the other thing I'm always curious about when I see pages that are just as on fire as yours is how much of your page in real time do you use when you're with a guest? The guest is in your chair, and they're a referral. Do your referrals, as a rule of thumb, are they on your page before they show up, or do you need to bring them to your page, or do you bring them to your page? And how do you use your page in a consultation? Do you use it as a digital lookbook?
Always, every single client, even if I have one that's just a walk-in, I think anytime a client meets a new hairdresser, it can sometimes be intimidating. So what I like to do is I like to show them my work so that they know that, oh, this kid really knows how to do this is what I want. And I think it builds that comfort level and it builds that form of communication for your client.
Yeah, and what I'm seeing is that I can only imagine when a guest comes in and maybe they're on their mobile and they're on another page. They might be on a randomly placed picture on Pinterest and they're inquiring, do you think this will work? And you're able to, in a very, it's almost like a quick move to take them off of a general platform, put them on your work, and you show them your portfolio, your profile, and just that is symbolic. It says, my God, this guy's in the game. Like, not only has he mastered his craft, he knows how to document his work. I mean, what a credibility builder that must be.
Definitely.
So, in any given week, how many guests? I know you're still in school, but like, how many guests would you get in a week, typically?
On average, it's usually between 20 to 25 guests.
Oh, wow. Wow. I mean, you're getting as many or more than a first or second year graduate, in a summit salon. So you're already, and what percentage of those guests would either be referrals or repeat guests that you've been serving for a while?
About My referrals have gone up a lot over the past 6 months of me being on the floor. And that's really down to social media. And a good amount of it is through word of mouth as well.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. Yeah,
a lot.
it almost gets hard to distinguish. Is it word of mouth? Is it social media? Or is it both? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You just have a rhythm now that you've built up.
Mhm.
So if you did 20 to 25 guests a week, how many of them would you engage in some kind of photography, some kind of photo shoot?
Most of my color work or extreme haircuts, if they were repeated, if it's just something very small, I already have posted their work. So like, trying to see if it's one. Okay, so perfect. So the haircut on the very far right, she had come to me, and I kind of also, another one of my strategies is, if I have a first time client, I try to bring them out of their comfort zone a little bit. So if they're doing something constantly from a previous hairdresser and they're constantly getting the same thing over and over again, you kind of pick up on the disposition of the client. So I always kind of like to break the ice and say, let's do something completely different. And that's what they want. They don't know that they want it, but they do. And once they see it, that's when I do the posting.
Yeah, and it's like when you say let once they see it, and a combination of seeing it, it starts by just hanging out on your page during a consultation, and then as you create the work, they see it on themselves, in the mirror, and that on ramps them to the ultimate experience, which is a photo shoot. How big is the photo shoot experience that you give your guests? How big of a factor is that in building a clientele?
That is such a major factor. Your photo shoots, 2 to 3 pictures is not going to cut it, because even in the moment when you take that picture, you think it's perfect. But when you go to step back, the client has checked out, you're ready to post it. You're like, I really think that I could have posted a few more pictures or taken a few more pictures. And always taking multiple sets of pictures from different angles and different lighting really is going to set you apart from other artists that are trying to get with social media.
So in a typical photo shoot, how many actual pictures would you actually take on average?
On average, I take about 20 to 25 photos.
And then you like store them in your photo app on your iPhone.
Yes.
And then how would you get the content from your iPhone to your guest to see if they're interested in uploading? Like, is that airdrop? Do you text them? Like, how's that work?
I always will text message my clients the before and afters of their hair and all the pictures that I've taken, so that they can reciprocate it onto if they have Facebook, or if they have social media, or if they want to post it, which in return helps me as well.
Yeah, and you actually have on your highlights one of your first is a before and after. I think you probably have looks like about 3 or 4 before and afters there. And
Yeah.
so in a typical photo shoot, do you get a before shot in and after? Is that kind of your rhythm?
Yes.
I love it. And then I would imagine that when you really you look at it, you go, okay, I'm using my page as a digital lookbook. I'm engaging my guest in a photo shoot. My work is extraordinary. It's edgy. I'm pushing the envelope. So all of that combined, your guests rebook, and then it just kind of starts this storm of referrals that you've been enjoying.
Oh, definitely.
Unbelievable. Well, I wish we had more time to talk. I want to talk to you some more, and I think I told you before the interview, I'm going to stay real close to you so that not if, but when you cross over five, I want to have you back to do an encore and really talk about what that, the last couple hundred hours were for you. And then have you landed on a position yet, a salon that you think you want to really start as your first point, or are you still looking?
Yeah, I really have my heart set on Sheer Art Salon and Spa in Tampa, Florida. I'm really, really trying to, I really want to become an associate for Blake Reed Evans, who's one of my artists in mind. I mean, his work is just absolutely phenomenal. I admire the anatomy of his craftsmanship. And I think we're very similar on certain levels.
Right. Yeah. Well, I love him. I knew him when he was a student. I've had him on the show a couple of times. He's part of the Summit social media team. And so I'm just going to like plant this seed in your soul now. If you're going to be hanging out with him, I have a feeling you're going to be hanging out with us. I just see you as a, in addition to Redken artist, that I think you bring some other stuff to the table with photography and social media. So you're going to stay a big blip on my radar. I'm going to see if I can corral you into being on Summit's social media team as well.
All
All right. Well, listen, we're running over, which I rarely do, but this conversation, and you're like blowing up my page. People are saying that they're really getting a lot out of our conversation. You're inspiring a lot of people. And your last word, by the way, if there's people that are watching where you're at and they're not where you're at, but they're relating to you and they're going, gee, could I do that too? What might you say to them?
You most certainly can. What my best piece of advice is always, 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 no matter what, have an open mind and be humble. And always, always devote yourself to social media, because you will find that artist that you can relate to, that you love the work, and that will get your motivational juices flowing and get you going in the right direction. Always want to learn.
Nice. Well, it's a great interview. Take the rest of the night, savor, celebrate. I'll probably follow up with you. We'll do some texting. I'm going to have you back on the show. I'm going to stay close to you and say hi to all my homies at Summit Salon Academy, and say hi to Blake for me too, will you?
I will, Michael.
Let's give it up for my friend one more time, Jace Roman. He just did a great job. Have a good evening. I'll talk soon.
Thank you.
All right. It was just wonderful. Give it up for him one more time, you guys. I think we made history tonight. I really do. First of all, I'm going to see if I can end this. Here we go. End the recording. There we go. Excellent. I think we did. I think we crushed it tonight. I really enjoyed what he had to say and what he shared with us.